Hi there, this is my video reflection number 3 over the case scenario for Carrie. Some major concepts that I was able to adopt when working or when doing this video. The first one was the concept or the tenet of motivation. So the way I was able to do that throughout the video is I actually used clarifying free choice in my video. Whenever Carrie would become ambivalent, reactant, I would just make sure to be pretty firm, and I'll get more into that later, but just to make sure to be pretty firm and tell her, hey, Carrie, this is a decision that you are going to have to make. Your recovery is up to you, and that was just something that I tried to make sure to really bring home for her, and I felt like it applied well to the theory because that is a major tenet of the theory, is to try your best to motivate clients to make a change in themselves and to help themselves. The second part of the theory that I felt related was that I did my best to try and support or recruit the support of others and to find additional supports for Carrie. For my particular video, I used the suggestions, and we talked about her probably joining a support group, actually. I talked to her about joining some AA groups or joining some different therapy groups that she might be interested in. That way, to help her meet with like-minded people who may be going through a similar situation, in order for them to grow together and for them to talk about their issues in an environment with somebody who will understand. And then the other support that I talked about was the support of maybe medicated assisted treatment. The support I talked about was the use of, or the possible use of Vivitrol to try and help her with her cravings of alcohol, because my video was focused on alcohol instead of cocaine, so just that's going to help conceptualize that. So that's that. The strengths of how I applied the theory, like I said, I felt like I was firm with Carrie. I didn't feel like I was too overbearing or anything, but I felt like I did a good job of just being very direct with her and telling her, hey, this is the deal. You are in control of your treatment, and it's up to you to make the changes. Just telling her how it is, not trying to sugarcoat it for her, and just making sure to really use that free theory, or clarifying free choice for Carrie. I was careful to reiterate a lot of things to Carrie, just make it clear to her exactly what is being expected of her, and to just try and make it clear of what I expect and what I think that she should expect in herself. Just making sure that the goals are clear for us, and that what we're talking about it's crystal clear. And I felt like when I was giving suggestions for like the support group and the use of medicated assisted treatment, I was careful to use my rationale. Carrie, I think you should, join a support group because you get to meet with like-minded people who you'll be able to talk to, probably feel better, and you'll get a chance to discuss these issues with other people who understand. With the Vivitrol shot, I told her about how it'll help limit her cravings, and it may help her stop her from drinking and getting into trouble, because she does have reported anger outbursts, especially when she drinks. So my use of the required intervention, like I said, my required intervention was clarifying a free choice. I also used reframing a bit because that's just something I almost do naturally, but I did also use reframing a couple places. So the way I used clarifying free choice was whenever Carrie would give me some reactance or speak reactively, I would make sure to say, be firm and acknowledge what she had said, and I was be sure to be empathetic, which I'll get into that in a minute. But and then I was quickly there to say, hey, listen, Carrie, this is something that you are in control of. You are in control of this treatment, and by doing that, I'm hoping to motivate Carrie to see that she is in fact the one in charge of her treatment and her recovery. Um, yeah, that's one example of how I was able to use the intervention of clarifying free choice. The strengths of how I was able to apply this intervention, I felt like I was very empathetic throughout the video, and I think it made Carrie feel heard, and it made her feel a lot better about being able to talk to me. And what I think that does is that, hopefully, when she sees that I'm very empathetic, even when she is, when she's been struggling and stuff, I hope that it will relieve some of the pressure on her to perform a certain way or to act a certain way when she is in the room with me or while we're going through treatment together, and just to make her feel better about herself, of course. I mean, the better she feels, the more likely she is to follow directives about treatment, and the more likely she is to be honest with me when she reports on her progress. Yeah, I feel like I made her feel heard. I already said that. I'm sorry, I have all this written down. Also, I was careful, even though I pretty much knew what I was going to say throughout the video, I was careful to make sure that Carrie felt heard before saying anything. There's a saying, many people do not speak to listen. Do not... Anyway, I was careful to make sure that I heard Carrie out, and I feel like I did a good job of that before giving my suggestion or giving my input, whether it's about Vivitrol or some other support group. And for the last part, number 3, discuss your use of self and effective responses with this client. So I sort of talked about this before, but it was still a really good strength for my use of self. I feel like I am very direct. I don't really beat around the bush at all. I like to be direct with people because I feel like when you're able to establish a playing field or a plane of honesty, people are just more honest, surprisingly. They look at you as more trustworthy, and I think that I just did a good job of that, and I do a good job of that in my own life. But I thought I was very direct with Carrie. I told her what her problems, what had been reported to me, and what she told me from previous encounters, for the video. But I was direct with what I felt needed to be done. I was direct with asking certain questions about problem behaviors, and asking her, what do you think we can be doing? Looking for solutions in the client's perspective. And I felt like just being direct, made it a lot easier for Carrie to discuss her problems. And I think I did a good job of that. The other thing was that I think I displayed I am incredibly optimistic, and I think I was able to display optimism I was careful to always look in the good in most situations, like Carrie talked about. Whether we talked about maybe different things that were working for her to stop her problem drinking habits. And I just felt like I did a great job of trying to be positive the whole time, trying to make her feel more positive. Like I said, through empathy, I hoped to make her feel better about her situation, and to be more motivated for the future. I think when you're more optimistic, it sort of gives you that push to keep going, to keep carrying on. And when you're a social worker, that's what you want to do. You want to instill motivation in your client, and I think one of the best ways to do that is to be optimistic. And I do that in my own life constantly, even maybe when I shouldn't. But I think I was able to do that really well, and I think Carrie felt the effects of that. And what strengths of your use of self? I think this biggest strength was that I was able to show Carrie that I truly did care about what she had to say, through empathy, through my being directness or displaying my, I guess, my honest and optimistic demeanor, I was able to show her that I really did care. I was asking questions related to what she had said to try and learn more about her situation or her certain feelings about certain situations, and I was careful to ask about her thought processes. I think it's important for people to, I think they feel more heard, and I think they get more out of treatment when you're able to ask questions and to get their input on something rather than just saying, you need Vivitrol right now, or you need to go to an AA group. Instead, I asked, what do you think about an AA group? Is that something you've thought about? What do you think about that? Can we plan on that? Blah, blah, blah. So I think I did a good job of that, of really showing her that I was caring and concerned about her situation. In the last strength, actually, I have history working with clients struggling with substance use, and I felt like I was pretty competent addressing this client system. I, gave real world suggestions about what she could do related to maybe AA or treatment groups. Maybe she could attend a process group or an educational group. But I felt like I was competent in my knowledge. I am competent in this area of treatment and focus, and I thought that was displayed through my video. When I was talking about the Vivitrol shot, I've had lots of clients personally who have taken Vivitrol, and I've seen the effects firsthand of it. And so I felt like I was able to be very competent about it and confident in some of the treatment methods I was suggesting and for my rationale in suggesting them. Okay, thank you very much on an awesome semester. This has been awesome. Thank you very much.